memories.
Goodness.
Yes, indeed. As we welcome in our man, Will Z, here as we close out this Friday, as we close out this week, as we head into Memorial Day weekend. Will, thanks so much for being with us. You have been writing about the Sacramento Kings over at SI, ranking the Sacramento Kings trade values. First of all, what went into did you have a formula? Like, what went into these rankings for you as you put this together?
Yeah, just a loose formula looking at contract, age, skill, and just general desirability around the league that I think a player might have. So like Levine obviously is more talented than arguably one of the most talented players on the roster, but he's a little further down on the list just because of some of those other circumstances. But it was kind of fun. We have been there's just so many trade ideas and trade proposals right now that I just had to do something different to write about. And yeah, so you want me to start at the bottom and work my way up of what I did?
Let's cook. Let's cook.
All right. So I'll start 10 players under contract. Just a quick refresher on who they are. This is in no particular order. We've got Sabonis, Levine, DeRozan, Monk, Keegan, Valanciunas, Carter, Ellis, Terrence Davis, and Isaac Jones.
Those are the players that are under contract right now.
Under contract. Yeah, a few stipulations. You've got a few player team options, non-guarantees. For Keon is a team option. Terrence Davis is a non-guarantee, and Isaac Jones, I think, is a team option or non-guarantee, but essentially the same. So at the bottom, I put Isaac Jones. It was between him and Terrence Davis. They both are kind of in the same circumstances, money and contract-wise. For Jones, he has I think, $2 million contract for next year and can't be traded until June 22nd. And his club option has a deadline of June 29th. So you've got about a week's window where you could theoretically trade him to a team, and then that team can cut him. So if there's a team that wants to save $2 million, you can theoretically do that. Same situation with Terrence Davis, who I slotted at 9. Again, TD, I think, is a little more, 2.5 non-guaranteed contract. His timing is a little different. His contract, he can't be traded until July 9th, and his contract isn't guaranteed until January 10th of next year. So a longer window there kind of was the differentiator between that and his experience.
So we're going to do this a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Who's the most tradable? Who is the most valuable asset that the Sacramento Kings have? Then we're going to work our way through this, because I'm genuinely curious if you caught some heat for an article you wrote the other day. Like, I can't wait to find out if you did. And I can't wait to find out.
I didn't. I know what you're talking about.
All right.
Okay. So
the most tradable asset for Sacramento was who?
Keegan. Like, still, I think, has the most potential, and is a wing, can play good offense, good defense, and is at $11 million for next year. Extremely tradable contract, under team control with the restricted free agency coming up or the extension, depending on the timing. But to me, I think it's still Keegan. It was close with number 2 and who I wrote about, but for me, it's still the combination of position, skill, contract puts him at the top.
That's not surprising to anyone, right?
To be honest, when you actually see it, like, yeah, it makes sense. I had never even thought about the idea of trading Keegan Murray, and not saying that that's what this is, but
yeah,
I had never even thought about it. And then
that's a nice change from the guy who's tried to move him for the last 2 years.
I want Keegan here, but it goes to Will's point. I think he's the guy that realistically can net you back the biggest return if you're trying to improve this roster. Yeah, man. And a lot of people are like, you don't move on from a Keegan Murray, when he's your best defender and all this other stuff. But what if you were able to get 2 6'8" defenders and guys that, can score 10 points a game, the other 7, but they're playing defense. Now you've turned your one good defender into 2 good defenders.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not what everybody wants, right?
Well, my question would be, are you trying to be a defensive team?
Well,
like,
just having people that can defend. Conceding that.
Well, I don't
guys that aren't top flight defenders.
I just don't know necessarily if a 10-point per game guy and a 7-point per game guy is the same thing as having a 17-point per game guy.
Not well, maybe offensively you can look at that any type of way.
Okay.
But defensively, you got 2 guys that can defend. If they're 2 guys, that's what I'd be trading for. 2, like almost damn near splitting Keegan Murray in half. And now you've got 2 guys that can defend on the perimeter and are versatile, and their combination gives you the points per game that you might be missing if you move on from Keegan.
It's an interesting way to look at it, because it feels like everything we've talked about trading Keegan before is you trade Keegan for a singular star. You take Keegan and picks or Carter or whatever pieces you want, but Keegan's the main piece from the Kings, and you turn that into a star level player. So instead, you're taking it and splitting Keegan into more role players, and good role players, ideally. Which is what we've seen work for teams in this year's playoffs. Like a number of players who can defend, who have the length and athleticism. Like that's kind of the makeup of a lot of these teams.
Like these guys, I don't know if you get guys that are this good. But just for argument's sake, if you were able to turn Keegan into Jaden McDaniels and Aaron Nesmith, I think that'd be really helpful for what you're trying to do.
I would think about that for sure.
Who's Keegan that absolutely makes the most sense, especially because of his age. It's like maybe not to the same degree, but it's the Tyrese trade motto thinking. A young player for that can go establish himself on another team. We're getting guys back who can do a variety of things that we need, or maybe one bigger swing, one bigger offensive punch or defensive punch or whatever. Number 2, it's people have probably caught on. I thought you were going to catch heat for this article. I think you thought you were going to catch heat for your article. It sounds like you didn't, but who's number 2?
Yeah, it's Malik. And for a variety of reasons, I think Monk is so unique with his skill set of both scoring and playmaking. He has the ability to start or come off the bench. I think he's proven that. Didn't go great as a starter, but I think he could slot into a lot of different teams as a starting 2, or go back to a bench role. His contract is phenomenal. $18.8 million next year, $20.2 the year after that, $20.22 or so player option for the 2027-28 season. So you've got him locked up for 2 years. Maybe he picks up that option, or maybe he declines it. But in terms of today's NBA contracts, like $18 million for Monk is a steal. I think we knew that when we signed him, and it's just become even more true. So super great contract to send out for a team wanting to get under the cap. And also for the Kings, this isn't really what the point of this article was about, but for the first article I wrote about trading Monk is looking at the trio of Keon, Levine, and Monk. And Damian, you and I talked about this when I was on last week. I think one of the 3 of them needs to go to just clear up space and to spread out the money on the roster. And I was honestly shocked at how many people were into the idea when I did. The first article was just about the idea, and then I threw out the idea of a swap for him and Jared Allen, and people are on board.
I think Kings fans are about into anything that'll make the team better. But I think you wrote another article, or maybe you just sent this to me, about the amount of money that's tied up in the guard position and the center position.
Yeah,
there's
it's like
no
127 million. Yeah.
127 is at the guard position?
Between the 2. So the guard and the
the
center.
2. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is just absurd. Like there's no way you can take that into next season and hope to compete. Unless you're running constant 3-guard lineups. It's just, and I have another, I don't know if you guys saw a Levine trade idea, but like
boy.
the odds of trading Levine, we'll get to that after, if you have time. But yeah, to me, Monk, super tradable, super, I don't know, just a attractive target for other teams, I think.
I forget how low that 18 million actually is in like
Yeah.
the NBA world for like Malik is good. Like
Mhm.
Malik is good. 18 mil is like, oh yeah, we do that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's probably easier to do now as a trade than it might have been.
Mhm.
Signing sometimes can be more difficult. If you can shed salary off your roster in a trade, there'd probably be significantly more suitors for him this year than there was last year when he could sign wherever he wanted to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you got a situation where you get him in the right situation, where you can maximize everything that he brings to the table. And he's a guy that can, for certain teams, can take them to another level, whether it's a championship or they're a bottom feeder and they go to the playoffs or whatever. But he can help elevate your team. He absolutely can.
Any other names we should touch on? Actually, who is number 3 on the? Oh,
Yeah.
huh.
This one was interesting. So for 3, I went Keon, and mainly a similar idea is his contract. Like Monk's a great contract. Keon is literally a steal at 2.3 million for next year. Like he is a starting caliber player making $2 million. Like that's unheard of. It's possible. A lot of options around Keon this season. James is really good about laying out all the details. They can opt out and re-sign him. If they opt out, he becomes a restricted free agent. But if they opt in, they could theoretically trade him. And to me, you're not trading Keon for another $2.3 million player. You're trading Keon with another salary and bringing in a proven star. And Keon is basically acting like a draft pick would in terms of like money and talent and the high value at a low cost that is just hard to find nowadays, especially in this CBA. So I don't think the Kings should trade him. To me, you do whatever you can to keep Keon. He's the exact type of player that fits Christie's system to a T, but there's the option. And if you want to go for a big swing for the fences type deal, you got to at least look at it.
I'll ask you the tough question here, Will. Let's take your top 3. You had to trade one and it got you back, not whatever player, but a player that you feel would help this team out. Which one of those 3 are you moving on from?
It's probably Monk.
Will Z hates Malik Monk. Man,
write it on a notepad.
Who knew? Put it on the note card as a good call, Will.
I think I'm more open to the idea of trading Keon than probably everyone else in Sacramento. But to me, that's knowing that if you do that, then you get back someone really good. But I don't think that's realistic. I think a Monk trade is more realistic, and I'd rather I want to see more of the duo of Levine and Keon, I think, than I'd want to see the duo of Levine and Monk.
Tough turn of events for Will Z. Hannah's in the chat saying divorce in all caps.
Well, I'm a little surprised Hannah knows what you're talking about, so I'm not surprised by her. I'm surprised that you guys think maybe I'm just being emotional about it. But
I can't imagine that.
I feel like people was kind of turning on Malik last year.
I don't think it's turning. I think it's assessing the situation. And that was Will's. It's not like Will wants to trade Keegan.
I'm not saying Will's turn on. I'm saying like the fact that you thought that people would be upset about him trading Malik.
Yeah,
felt like people was kind of People, I'm like, they turning on my boy. Hey, I'm still rocking with Zero, man. Stop.
Will posted the article. I was like, I'm gonna go check the comments.
They were positive. I was shocked.
That's crazy how they do my boy.
I think they just want this team to be better, and they realize, man, he might be able to make the Kings better. I don't know. Do you think that combo of guards that Will just laid out, the Levine, Keon, Malik, all of that money, do you think that works?
I don't. Well, no, because I think they need a point guard. They're missing a point guard. But I think I would probably be more apt to moving Keon, even though I don't want to. I don't think we want to move any of these guys. But Malik.
No, because we haven't mentioned DeMar, who's the one who's obviously going to be traded this offseason.
Malik, his ceiling and what he can do in a game, in a potential playoff series, being an X factor, I'm not ready to move on from that one. Keon, while I think he provides a whole lot, what he provides, I don't know if we're going to see enough of. Like, if we get a point guard in here, and you got Levine and you got how many minutes is Keon going to play? And I think you can use Keon and what he brings and what he can net you in return elsewhere on your roster, a wing or a 4 or something like that. And I'd keep Malik Monk.
You see what Steve Kerr said about Jonathan Kuminga?
No.
He's not a 38-minute per game guy on this roster. And that had heavy Keon Ellis as a situational
big time
guy or role player or whatever the line Mike Brown used was. It was just like, oh, all right, Steve. Okay, well, good for you, because you're going to have teams calling you this offseason. Good for you and Mike.
I wonder if Steve feels how I feel about Kuminga. And it's kind of rough.
I think he does.
It's kind of rough because Kuminga's pretty young. And so
I think he feels exactly how you feel, because you hate him.
Don't hate him. Don't hate him. I think
Jonathan Kuminga, Kendrick Lamar,
nobody,
and blueberries.
I love blueberries.
Do you?
Avocado.
Oh, that means you hate blueberries.
Avocados. Yeah, avocados.
Jonathan Kuminga is unbelievably talented. I don't know how impactful he is on a game.
I hear you.
I think
you're. I don't think you were fair in your assessment, though.
Unfair. Yeah.
But the games that you use, that was accurate. But there's a footnote to those games.
Got to tell those.
Thank you, Doc. Wow, I feel like we've gone a couple of days without impression.
Well, season's been over for a while.
That wasn't the call. That's not what I was doing. Great stuff as always, Will. Glad you're not catching heat for some of these trade articles. Keep churning them out, man. We'll keep reading them. National Media's Will Z right here. Thank you, my brother.
Thanks, Ash. Have a good one.
All right, my man Will Z. Will Z, president of the Get